Hi, I'm Joe Furey. I'm one of the producers and writers on the show, and I'm here with...
Lou Morton was one of the writers.
Stephen Root, one of the actors.
Al Higgins, one of the writers of this episode.
So this is apparently the episode with George Goober Lindsay.
Yes, I'm very excited to see George again. It was very fun to have him on the show. He was one of my heroes when I was, watching TV growing up and not thinking about ever acting.
Of course, George Goober Lindsay being from the Andy Griffith Show.
Andy Griffith Show. Tremendous.
Does anyone remember what the actual plot of this is?
Yes.
Good.
Other than George Goober Lindsay being in it.
Pretty much that was it.
Oh, Stephen bought
he kept buying memorabilia.
He bought memorabilia.
And it was just, as you see,
Just
there's
a total
scams.
rip-off.
Yeah, getting ripped off totally.
Right.
And this was based on, I think, a Brian Kelly idea, and it was a very short of just stemming from Jimmy buying the sled that says Rose Bowl on it. He gets it wrong.
And that came from, did somebody actually buy something? Didn't someone buy something on the
I think
staff?
his friend bought some Star Wars thing.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Some
Again,
Dave Mandel or something.
Always Star Wars,
Yeah.
right. Somebody bought some fake Star Wars thing. Okay.
But more importantly, George Goober Lindsay.
George Goober
Yes.
Lindsay.
The reason we were excited to get him is that
There's
in the
sled.
office we were all obsessed with his autobiography.
Oh, his book had just come out, hadn't it?
I can tell you the actual story of that.
called Goober in a Nutshell.
Oh,
I
good.
can
Tell us the actual
story
story of this.
One night while working on the show, there's the Citizen Kane, the Citizen Kane reference for everyone. One night while we were working on the show, which we did generally at about 2 a.m, we went out to get some food, and we went into this newsstand, and we were kind of walking around. I think it was Paul and I and
Brad Isaacs?
Josh and maybe Brad and maybe one of you guys were there. I don't know, and we just found this book on the shelf that was George Goober Lindsay
In a nutshell.
in a nutshell, Goober in a nutshell.
Yep.
Which we proceeded to spend the next 11 hours reading and then the next year talking about, till the point where we said we have to get George Goober Lindsay to be on the show, and so we actually just wrote him into this as part of it. But go. I'm sorry, Lou. I interrupted. Were you going to say more?
That's all I wanted.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's kind of a controversial
my name.
book, I think. George was telling me because he criticizes Andy Griffith just a little bit in it.
Yes.
And that wasn't well received, from what I understand.
Oh, really? From Andy?
Yeah,
It wasn't?
yeah. That's what he was telling me. Yeah.
Well, one of
Well, one of the themes of the book is nothing George Goober Lindsay ever did was well received.
That's right. You seem to have a lot of problems with.
Seriously, if you bought the DVD, you should go out and buy this book.
Yeah, Goober in a nutshell.
It's a great book.
It's the greatest book.
Introduction of the book, the foreword, is by a friend of his talking about how George Goober Lindsay saved his life. He was on the verge of suicide, and Goober stepped in and talked him down. That man, Ernest Borgnine.
That's right.
I never got past George Goober Lindsay's signature in my copy of the book.
Oh, yeah, we all got signed
That's right, he
copies.
signed
yeah.
it.
I
for
never read
everybody.
the full forward.
Yep. So this episode really became an obsession with George Goober Lindsay. So that's really what it
A
came
love
out.
affair.
A love affair.
Now,
if
Robert
you
was
will.
telling me,
Yes.
as I remember, the Basic Instinct reference. I was hoping that would stay in, but I didn't remember whether it was or not.
Joe always looks like he's wearing lipstick in these
He
episodes.
probably was. Now, does anyone remember what the other story other than Goober was in this?
What's the B story in this?
I do
epic?
not know. It's a very good question.
Maybe Dave and Lisa were having trouble in the sack. Is that the...
Oh, I doubt that.
I doubt that.
I don't know. Doesn't seem to be any other story other than Jimmy
No.
with the...
I guess we'll never know.
Okay.
Let's see. We got to find
No,
out.
they were
what-
doing something before. They're all sitting around the table. They're talking about something.
Yeah, see, we
some
paid
sort of
no
evaluation?
attention to this whatsoever because we were talking about George Goober.
We're talking
Lindsay,
so much about George.
which is good, because I love George.
Yes. Do we have any George stories we'd like to talk about?
Well, George and
Anyone
I,
can remember?
I went to his alma mater at Northern Alabama University, and gave them some scripts and stuff, and we had a really good time there. George and I went on, you know those big blow up balloon slides that you
Yes.
have? So George and I were photographed sliding down a big balloon
You're
slide.
kidding.
No, it was
This
good.
was before or after you
This
did
was
this?
after we did it. This was after we did it. So I went down and played around with that. And George is what, 70, 72, or he was then.
Yes, yeah.
He came down, he slid down this thing and ripped half of his arm skin off.
Oh, God.
This poor old guy just screaming as we came down the...
Well, that's the story
part
of his
what we-
life.
That's kind of the story. That's what we loved about the book so much. It was just stories of how, like, one time he got into a fight with Bob Denver, and Bob Denver punched him in the face or something, and then he drove home and fell out of the car and his head smashed on the pavement, and it was just an endless series of stories. Or the other one where he was supposed to host.
But he's a sweet man. He's a
Oh, he's
great
really sweet.
guy.
But
He's a great
the
guy.
book we thought was great. He was supposed to host I think something like the Special Olympics or something like that. And at the last minute, Arnold Schwarzenegger came in and jumped in and stole the glory from him. Like he was supposed to lead the parade or something. It was just a bunch of stories that. Or when Andy called him and told him that the show was over.
Right.
How he called him and told him about that Andy Griffith was over, and it was simply he called him up and said, "It's over." And Goober said, "What's over?" And he said, "The show. It's over." That was pretty much how he found out the show was over.
He said,
Not warm and fuzzy at all.
Well, what do I do? And Andy Griffith said, I don't know, but if you want any of this crap on the set, we're about to throw it away.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I forgot about that.
Oh, you got to get the book. And then he signed the book for everybody, which was great.
Yeah, it was tremendous.
He was very happy to have us all love him so much for his book. I don't think that ever happened to him before.
No.
We were primarily fans of him as an author.
Yes, exactly. I think he was intrigued that we actually used him on this because he couldn't figure out why.
That was just tubal cain was a word that Josh had read about that Freemasons use. It's like a secret word.
It's their secret word.
Yeah, it's their secret word. So you've been letting on a secret if you're watching this episode.
Oh, so this story is the staff evaluations. I
Oh,
guess. Is that
okay.
what it is?
That's
one
the
of
big story.
One of the endless staff evaluation stories. I think we did about 100 of them.
Very sexy dress on Vicky.
Yeah, this is a really
very nice.
good dress for Vicky this episode.
Flattering.
What was does anyone recall why Vicky is doing this? I can't kind of remember.
Oh, because of Dave and her. Maybe there's a conflict of interest or something. Maybe.
Oh, no,
Are they doing each
I know
other?
what it was. It was everyone was evaluating everyone else. Wasn't that the premise
I think that's
here?
right.
Wasn't that the premise that
Yep.
everyone got a chance to evaluate people, I think is what it was?
That sounds plausible.
As happens in most offices.
Exactly. Thank you, Sam. You were pointing that out. It's absolutely true. Unbelievable.
And we're doing this commentary without Paul Sims because, writing News Radio, we spent this was only 40 minutes waiting for Paul to show up, and we would spend hours and hours and hours.
Hours.
So we decided to do it without him.
At one point, weren't we supposed to be booked on the whole cast to do the show, and we all declined?
Yeah.
Because they said, well, she's changing her whole image, and we went, I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
And she didn't.
Not going to work.
No.
Do you weren't we going to have her on the show at one point, like an exchange or some stupid thing like that?
I don't know.
I thought for some reason, I remember that, maybe not.
Somebody, I guess somebody on the show knows her. I don't know.
I remember they always tried to get us to do stunts or stunt casting, having, a baby or, all that shit. And
Right.
it's like,
It was
this show
always-
does not, yeah.
And Goober was one of those stunts
Yeah.
that we provided for.
Yeah, that was
He was one of the good stunts.
Yeah.
We said, you want stunt casting? Here's Goober.
Yeah.
Goober right here.
See, we asked for Arnold Schwarzenegger, and they gave us George Goober.
That's
George
right.
Goober Lindsay.
That's right.
And good. Well, George is about to come in here in just a minute.
George comes in, yeah.
Not
Oh,
soon
and
enough.
Joe was my lawyer in this one. I remember that too.
That guy's kind of.
Yes,
that guy's
he
in a
was
lot
on
of stuff now,
30-something.
isn't
He
he?
was
Oh,
like
yeah.
the
Was? Okay.
evil boss on 30-something. Evil, maybe not evil.
That's right. The evil.
Was he the boss?
At the ad agency.
David Clenning. I
David
believe.
Clennon.
Am I saying that right?
Clennon?
I don't know. Clennon. David Clennon. I'm being
Yeah, he's
told.
great.
Okay. Now, the concept here was that you bought something. You're suing. Does anyone?
Yeah, he's suing this
suing the
guy
kid.
with the memorabilia, and it turns out it's the big act break was a young child.
Right. He was, yes.
What will happen next?
I
Can't
just
even
realized
imagine.
this. A few years ago, I saw Will and Grace for I've seen it twice, and this is one of the 2 times I saw it. And they did almost the exact same story.
They did?
Yeah, only it was like an eBay story. And we did it. We did it before eBay. It was even.
We beat them to the punch.
It was even less timely. It made even less sense as a story. But yeah, they did the exact same thing where some kid was selling them fake memorabilia on eBay. Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's funny. My first thought was, we stole that from them? Really?
Well, Catherine, your work here in the last year has been...
See, there's Phil with the wet hair day. He had a dry hair day last time we were doing commentary.
That's right.
It changes
His
every
hair
week.
changed,
Yeah.
on a regular basis. Yes.
Did it affect his mood at all, Stephen?
I think when he was wet-haired, he was a little more...
Swamp?
No.
Oh.
It's a little more annoying.
No, okay.
But he was always wonderful, weren't you,
yes.
Phil? Yes, he was.
And for that reason, we can forgive the fact...
Yes,
So
and I
he's
guess-
evaluating Catherine.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
I think we've sort of figured out the premise. Yes. Now at this point, he's doing his evaluation of her.
All I've got to say is the video game Paul's playing right now had better be really good.
Yeah.
I'm going to be mad.
Oh, he's sleeping.
These were the scenes that I have to say, as a writer, which I'm sure you guys would all agree with. Anytime you wrote anything for Phil was the most fun because it was generally completely insane, as opposed to like Stephen, where Stephen had to actually like explain plot and do dialogue. Like, Phil was just completely insane. So it was always, or Andy was generally easy to do too because it was
Now,
just
how often
fun.
do you
Dumb
eat,
jokes, huh?
Yeah, just dumb jokes.
hard-boiled eggs in the break room?
Oh, this is an evaluation, right? This is his evaluation. As you can tell, yes, Andy's doing something with a little breakfast food here, and
Communicate.
these were always just pure, jokes. It was like they were great.
In the 5 years I have had the good fortune of knowing Bill, who is just the best employee and the best friend a guy could have.
What?
Beth could improve her job performance by paying more attention to Bill, helping Bill, and being nicer to Bill.
What does that have to do with me?
I have some thoughts about how you dress.
Okay, go ahead.
So what else about this episode do we know?
I'm trying to remember. Anyone have any other thoughts?
I wrote a scene coming up, the courthouse scene, and it was one of the first sort of scenes I wrote, and it was I remember Josh bringing in a Paul saying, if any of you thought that Al couldn't write or something, he actually wrote a good scene. Not that you thought he couldn't write, but this is a very funny scene, so it's something that's stuck in my...
Well, that's there you go.
Well, that scene was cut.
Yeah.
Exactly. That scene goes out immediately. So.
Doesn't exist anymore. Was this one of your first shows that you worked on?
No, but I just got... My name was on this... This is the scene right here.
This skull,
Yeah.
by the way, still exists.
Oh, George
in-
Cooper Lindsay.
Yeah.
This skull, I think, still is in somebody's house. That skull he's holding there. Isn't that the one that was in we just saw the other night? Paul's
don't
house
know.
or something? Or?
No,
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. It might be.
I just want to point out that that's our own Todd Spider Chambers playing the kids.
It looks just like him.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing about this episode is reminding me that after this was shot, the writers, we all went down because we used to make these little movies while we were
That's
working,
Mm-hmm.
and we shot an entire movie in here that was a courtroom movie.
Oh, Crazy Court.
There he
Crazy
is.
Court. Yeah.
Ah, there's Goober.
Very
Yes.
nice.
There he is.
There he is.
He'll do his little shoot thing, because that's what he does. See,
Harry
he
Dean
shoots.
Stanton.
Does his shoot thing.
Now, what was Goober doing? I forgot what was his.
Well, we were finding out
all
whether or
leading
not
up-
It's all
this
leading
was
up to
his
This
skull.
is supposed to be Goober's skull.
Oh right. Oh, right. He has to prove he's not
He has to
dead.
prove he's
right?
dead.
So we
It's
threw
not
them all
him.
out just for this line right here.
Right. Pay attention. Here it comes.
No.
That was pretty much
That
it.
was it. Episode over.
What was you know what else I remember about this episode that was really fun was because we did a little improv at the end of the thing where I was trying to sell him some more of the memorabilia stuff.
Oh, that's right.
And
yeah.
and it was just kind of it was written I think a little and then we took off from it, but
Wait.
Goober in a nutshell. There it is.
Goober in a
right there.
nutshell.
Just
right
had
there
him
on the
sell-
desk.
Oh, he just signed it.
He signed his book.
Yeah.
That's
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 Goober in a
hysterical.
nutshell. There he goes.
these
Oh,
scripts
that's
were based
right.
on life.
That's right.
The most self-indulgent show.
Yeah.
It really was. It really was.
If it happened in real life, it went on the show.
That's exactly, yeah. Anything that happened in anyone's lives.
Well,
it was
because we
just
had no other ideas. It was like we were writing at the last minute.
That's right.
This show was one step less self-indulgent than the show where we wrote the entire episode so we could get Eugene Jarvis on the show.
Oh, God. And it was at Arcade, right? That was Arcade?
That was Arcade, yeah.
Yes.
Which we
So
will
watch the
comment on
commentary
as
to
well.
that one.
You've got to be kidding.
No, this is.
I'll be doing your evaluation.
Oh,
You're joking.
here we
Who
go.
else gets evaluated by a peer, and just by coincidence, I end up staring into the.
And also, he didn't wear glasses all the time, but sometimes he did.
Yeah, he did.
For no
did he?
reason
What was
whatsoever that I
What
know
was
of.
that
I don't know
about?
why.
Did he ever say why he was doing these changes, or he just
I
liked
know.
he just liked to
I
change
think
it up
he
once
had
in
to
a while?
wear glasses to read, as I recall. When we were studying scripts, he had to do that, but he hardly ever wore them on the show, except sometimes he just would. I don't know why.
I think there's a wet hair glasses corollary.
There must be
Yeah, I really
a
think there is.
connection there.
By the way, before he mentioned the evil maw of, or the maw of Evil Otto himself, Evil Otto was, of course, the bouncing smiley face enemy in the video game Berserk.
Nice. Very good.
Everyone at home is now saying, "Of course."
Of course. I mean, actually, probably
you didn't
the
need
fans,
to tell us
the
that.
fans
We
that are
knew
actually
that.
listening to this, probably they're the only ones that
Would know that anyway.
The fan
they've
at home.
lasted this long.
Yeah.
That one guy
TV,
at home
yeah.
watching it.
Which would be a delightful conundrum if it wasn't so bad.
Conundrum, that's a big word for news radio.
No, I really don't want to hear anything more about it.
Dave?
Did you guys? Well,
Go
not
ahead.
to talk. It's a little off color, but the first season, the girls had to wear these cutlets in their
Oh
bras.
yeah,
Yes.
no, we talked about
Yes,
that.
they were just
yesterday,
talking
a
about that
little bit,
yesterday.
yeah.
Oh, well, there
yeah,
you
they were
go.
talking about
Yeah.
Oh, in one of the other
And
ones.
sometimes
Yes.
the cutlets would look really good, and sometimes they just look horrible.
I know, and I remember Maura going to me, it's like, "Oh, I don't have to wear these anymore," and I was kind of disappointed. No, I'm joking. I'm very joking. Really
This is Bra Talk. Al Higgins.
Yeah, the network was very adamant about that for some reason.
Yeah.
Can't the girls have a little more, something? And it was
top.
something to that effect. And it was
Is
like,
that why we brought in
Something-
other women later into the show?
Oh, I don't probably. Yeah.
It's so silly.
As if these
They're
two
great-looking
weren't-
women.
Right, as if these
so
two weren't
gorgeous.
cute enough.
Yep.
As it
Oh my
is.
God.
Well, now she's doing his
And
evaluation.
Foley had to wear
Okay.
something in his pants, right? Sort of a.
He did.
It was a real chicken cutlet.
That was one of the.
No one told him to. He just did it.
That was one of the. By the way, one of the wipes that we did right there. You just saw that happen there. That were generally came in from editing, because Paul and I and several other people did a lot of the editing. Was when we couldn't go to anything, we would do. That was our last resort, was to do a wipe to something, because there was
No other
literally no
transition,
way. So
yeah.
whenever you see those, that's generally what that was. We used to kind of despise them, but because it was.
When did you first start doing those? Because I thought it was just like slavish Star Wars love that made you keep doing the Star Wars wipe. But
Yeah,
no.
that's kind of what it originally started as. Not intentionally, but Tony Heyman did it one time, and he just did it in the thing. And I said to Paul, that's actually kind of like the Star Wars thing, which is kind of cool. And Paul was like, "Yeah, I guess. I don't know." he still hated it, but
What? Oh, we didn't hear that, Robert. What was it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, every
yeah.
episode was 7
well,
minutes
every
long.
minute, yeah. Well, they were all written.
Yeah.
They were all. We wrote them because long, so that. Because generally, when you got into the editing room, there was a lot of stuff you'd end up cutting out. You'd have to cut out stuff, and you have to get them down.
It's
I
just-
must
If
disagree.
you,
And
how-
we as actors
wrote 'em long
really
'cause
loved
we wrote 'em at the last
rehearsing
minute.
and,
Well, that too.
and
Well,
shooting
yes.
stuff that was never
No,
used.
absolutely that too. But yeah, we always ended up with stuff. There were just sequences that were too long, and you had to cut stuff down. And so, to answer your question, Lou, part of the reason that became later in the show, it was when the shows got sort of all broken up with A, B, and C more stories. It was easier to just wipe to stuff and get rid of, rather than try and do it.
And then we
as a direct cut
eventually
or-
resented it tremendously because we'd rehearse all week and all this long and we would never use it.
Well,
and so
yeah.
then we started to rebel, I think, after that and said, just write it somewhere near what the length is going
Yeah,
to be.
well, they were written way
Way
too
too
long.
long.
But
I like how the exact same courtroom people have come back to see the conclusion to this case. Several days later.
Hey,
And they're sitting in their same.
that's right.
it's a suspension of disbelief.
Joe has the same outfit on too. Why I don't know, but great. All I keep thinking of is that courtroom scene
Why-
we did later on.
Are you gonna?
There's
is that
another
gonna be?
wipe because there was no way out of that scene. There's a wipe.
Is there gonna be a? Is that gonna be on the DVD?
The
Crazy
paddling?
Court?
Crazy Court? I don't know. I hope so. I don't know what they've put together, but one of the many completely stupid news radio films we did. Oh, here's another thing another talk it out scene. This was something we used to always.
Oh, was this group hug? This was a very good.
This was actually,
Yeah.
very funny.
I love this.
Ladies and gentlemen,
The group hug.
nobody will leave this office tonight.
We're gonna watch this, but the
Yeah.
reason
Yeah.
we did those films a lot, those sort of things, because we were waiting for Paul and sort of we had a
Yes.
lot of time to dick around. We did a lot of dicking
That's
around.
exactly what it
Yeah.
started as.
Yeah,
we
so
just
it's like-
started fooling around because we had these cameras and we just started doing these short little films just because we were bored and had nothing to do. And,
Yeah.
and because Paul was not there.
Oh, I suppose this is Lisa's way of insinuating that I am not a team player. What a bitch.
We're watching it again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, no, this
we
is
can't
good.
do that. Forget that
so
we can't
good.
actually watch the show.
No, can't watch it. You got to keep talking.
We also played a lot of video games. We had a whole video game set up in the writers' room because of the waiting.
Once again, when it gets to the Phil part, it's
Oh.
always, everybody's fighting. I'm sure when we wrote this, it was broken up between like somebody wrote one person, or it was all like, I want to do the Phil one, and Andy.
Big old soft.
Andy's relationship with, I think we said before, it changed yearly with Phil, or Bill's character, because sometimes he hated him, sometimes he loved him.
Yeah, but it was primarily, I think we kind of kept tried to keep the idea that he was sort of just enamored with him. He was in love with
He
him.
was in love with him.
Not
in some
necessarily, you know,
Physically.
Physically, he just thought he was the greatest thing in the world, and
And Bill would always just completely ignore him, or,
Yeah.
or
take
call him
advantage
an
of
idiot.
take advantage
of him all the
and,
time.
yeah.
And there was like a little thing. They had sort of an ESP thing going on for this joke. They were talking to each other in their minds.
Yes.
And then Phil had his, but it was for the joke. It was,
It was
a very
totally
funny joke.
just for the jokes.
Yeah.
We could do. He's grabbing her ass at the end. Oh, here's the stuff.
Oh,
Here's
yeah.
what you were talking
Yeah.
about.
Oh, here you go.
How much? $5. All right, and this, well, of course, you know what this is. Yeah, grits.
Oh, goober.
It's from that Western.
Oh, George.
True Grits. $5. There you go.
True.
No, this was he told me this was his favorite thing. This little bit at
That's
the end.
great.
He loved
George,
doing it.
really?
Yeah.
Oh, since it probably played halfway into the next television show on NBC, in the corner of the screen. I'm glad.
I'm sure it didn't air at all.
Another victory for him.